What's going on, guys? Hey, we're back. Happy August, everybody. It is August 1st. I wish everybody has a fantastic August. It's going to be hot here in Ukraine, probably back home in Texas too. Let me know where you're at in the comments below. Let me know if it gets hot in August. So I found a whole bunch of clips here. Some of them are gnarly. Some of them are just kind of cool drone footage that you don't see in everyday media, like the strikes that just happened in Russia. Ukraine had some massive strikes in Russia, hitting some of their critical infrastructure, their fuel trucks. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. So do me a favor, please like, share, subscribe. I'm trying to bring you guys like the most recent. Some of this footage is like literally hours old, so I try to bring it as fast as I can to show you guys what's really happening here. And if you could share these videos, then we get more people kind of aware of what's happening here in Ukraine, and it's a win-win-win. So hey, before we jump into it, shout out to everybody who picked up the t-shirts last month. Appreciate y'all. We've got our new monthly t-shirt. I'm gonna put it on the site tonight, the merch site tonight. I think you guys will like it, but it's not on there yet. So if you want one, pick one up. All of our uncensored content is in the Discord for our members, which is in the link below. Plus, we just have a lot of fun in the Discord. We have a lot of resources regarding Ukraine, blah blah blah. So jump in that if you want. All right, because we do have a lot of new people, I'm going to introduce myself and then we're going to jump into it. Okay, bear with me. If you already know who I am, skip ahead. My name is Saxon. I go by Vegas here in Ukraine. Before I came to Ukraine, I was a firefighter and an EMT outside of Fort Worth, Texas, in a small town. Once I finished my EMT license, I came to Ukraine to help in some kind of a medical capacity, search and rescue capacity. Ended up in an infantry unit in a trench line in Kupiansk. Did a couple different combat missions with this unit, 1st Battalion, Charlie Company, 3rd Platoon in the International Legion. After that, some things went down in that unit. Most of the foreigners left. I went back to the U.S., sold my stuff, sold my truck, picked up my cats, came back to Ukraine and helped start Azov's International Battalion, which is something that I'm still very proud of. I also trained and deployed with this group, um, which was the first group, Alpha Company, and I was one of the assault medics or combat medics in the assault team and did multiple combat operations with them. Now I am still in Ukraine working on some other stuff, still training, but also trying to focus a lot more on affecting a wider audience, which is by using this platform right here, YouTube. So again, please share the videos. Let's jump into this, guys. This very first video is the missile that just landed in Poland, and I want to talk about this for a second. You can't see it, unfortunately, but you can hear it. Listen, it's loud. So this is just a CCTV security camera, whatever, of the. Oh, is it going to show the actual? No, it just shows nothing. That was CCTV footage of when that missile impacted in that farmland in about 90 kilometers into Poland. Nobody was injured, nobody was killed. That's not really the point. And I actually saw, and these of course are these comments that I bring up are Russian trolls, Russian bots, so take it with a grain of salt. But they said nobody was even injured. It landed in a field, so who cares? Blah blah blah. The thing is, and the thing that I talk about the most when it comes to these types of violations with the NATO treaty is it very well could have been an accident. It could have been. I think some of the drones and missiles that have landed in some of the surrounding bordering countries of Ukraine and Russia probably were accidents because I have firsthand experienced the jamming systems that they have in the big cities here in Ukraine, and they really mess with you, dude. One time I accidentally almost drove to Belarus. I was close to the border. I was trying to go the other way, but because the spoof system, my GPS was sending me where the spoofer was trying to redirect those missiles. And I didn't know this. It was my first time in this specific location in Ukraine. And I was just driving middle of the night, 3 a.m., straight up to Belarus into enemy occupied territory. I was like, dude, I gotta be careful. So these spoof systems really work. So I do believe some of the I keep doing this where I'm like stretching my shirt out because I just noticed it was wrinkled, and my dad gets on me about wrinkled shirts in my videos. So I'm trying to. This is how I like try to avoid the inevitable conversation later today. um, so some of them are accidents, but definitely not all of them. For example, earlier this year, or end of last year, 22 drones came into Polish airspace. Russian drones, obviously. Um, this is, I think everybody pretty much knows this. This is Russia's way of testing and seeing how much it can get away with in regards to NATO. I think Russia has also proven that NATO is a paper tiger. NATO will not do anything. It's just, that's the bottom line. They're not going to do anything. It doesn't matter what Russia does necessarily, besides the fact of invading, full scale invading a NATO territory. But Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, they're never going to do that. They're smarter than that. They know better. So they're just playing, these bad acting nations are playing NATO against itself by pushing it, poking it, poking it, poking it, and then the NATO members, France, Germany, etc., who actually want to have a more aggressive posture against the Russians or whoever it may be, typically the Russians, they're not allowed to because they're in NATO. So NATO, in my opinion, the treaty has expired in its effectiveness. It's no longer effective. It's now hindering nations from taking a more aggressive stance towards the enemy and setting a precedent to the enemy that Europe and the US should not be messed with, right? They can't do that because they're tied up in the bureaucracy of NATO. So that's my ramble about NATO. Let's move on. UGV juke. This went ultra viral, dude. Yeah. So this is really cool. Not only is it just, badass to see drones fighting each other and this thing dodges an FPV, but we know from this channel, also from some of the experiences I've shared with you guys, how difficult dodging FPVs can be in any vehicles. When there's, how I should say it like this, when there is a human brain trying to dodge the FPV, they're very hard to dodge. So what I'm wondering here is, we see in the camera right here, this rear camera of the UGV, the unmanned ground vehicle, that they see it coming. They know this is happening. So what I'm wondering is, was this just luck, right? Was it just not the best FPV pilot? They didn't expect the drone to turn. They didn't think the drone had eyes on it, whatever. Was it just luck? Or is there something to be said about the responsiveness between the human brain, the link between the human brain and the instantaneous reactions of machines, right? Is there something there, you think, or is that premise kind of null and void because it's still a human brain using its reaction via the remote control, via the drone, or to the drone? I don't know. Something about this though spoke to me like, wait a second. Are drones faster, or are drones faster than the human brain, and can they make these quick movements to avoid the FPVs? I don't know. Regardless, that's a very cool video. So we've got a bunch here. Let's watch these and then we'll get into some of the Oh no, you know what? We're gonna watch the Wolfborn. This is an SSO unit, Ukrainian Special Forces, called Wolfborn. Super cool name, super cool unit. Let's go.
Падай нахуй. Падай нахуй. Чистый. Зараз переходимо сюди в той погріб. Чистий, чистий. З фермою пішов. Все, відходимо, коп пішов. Пішли, мужчини, пішли, бо треба скорше. Будинок чисто, будинок чисто.
Две руки вперед, без оружия вышел.
Падай нахуй.
Один на контроле. Ты один?
Ложись.
Упал. Упал на землю.
Там еще кто-то есть?
Точно.
Все, відходимо.
Pretty cool, man. We've seen a lot from this 144th SSO. I actually know somebody in this unit too. They're really good, dude. And we've been talking about this more in the Discord, but foreigners who are coming to Ukraine, because there's the availability and option for foreigners to join a multitude of Ukrainian units, SSO has become a really good option for some of your better trained foreigners coming to Ukraine, or some of your foreigners who, maybe just have this natural tactical ability. They're very physically fit, and they want to, because you have to qualify for SSO units. You have to go through a what's it called, selection process, and I don't think it's insanely difficult. It's not like Delta Force selection, but it will weed out the people who are just bullshitting and just want to join a high tier, high level unit for the clout. It will weed these guys out if they're not physically prepared. So SSO is cool, dude. Definitely good option for foreigners right now. All right, let's go to this one. So this is a fuel tanker. It's an actual tank of fuel in the back of this 18-wheeler cargo container. So I don't know how the Ukrainians realized this and how they found out that this was a disguised oil tanker, but they figured it out and obviously annihilated it. And you could tell that it was an oil tanker because of the way it lights on fire, right? We know that in the it would be western, we'll just call them the occupied Ukrainian land that the Russians currently occupy. The Russians are having major logistic issues because of these medium to long range drone strike campaigns that they're launching. They're just knocking out all the logistics and supply routes and infrastructure in place that are supplying these units that are in the occupied territory. So the Russians are now disguising these more critical supplies, such as fuel, in civilian style vehicles, making it more difficult for Ukrainians to hit, because Ukrainians don't want to hit civilians, despite what Russian bots say on the internet. But it looks like the Ukrainians are still able to weed out some of it, so that's cool. A few of the clips of Russia, the strikes in Russia last night. Look at that, dude. Imagine driving to work. You're going to work, it's another day, and you see this. That's insane, dude. And so many of these Russians never thought that this would be possible in their capital city, or in St. Petersburg, or in Novgorod, or something like that. That's huge, dude. Here's another one. This looks like a nuclear explosion. Absolutely nuts, dude. What? And that had to have been some kind of oil infrastructure for it to explode like that. And I'm assuming this is the same one because the size of the smoke, but I don't know. There wasn't much context on these ones. Except the date and the location being Russia. Look at this, man. That's definitely oil because of how high those flames are. Crazy, dude. All right, this one's pretty funny. Straight runs over homeboy, dude. What's crazy to me about this is that the perspective, the guy whose perspective we're watching on the GoPro, doesn't make any noise. A little grunt there. And then one of these guys is like, ah. Honestly, it's probably a good thing that guy laid it down the way he did, because he may have saved himself rather than just going nose to nose with an ATV. Okay, hold on. We already saw that. Poland. Oh yeah, dude, this is money. Look at this one. I named this video Nap Partner. Imagine, bro. Oh my gosh. This one went pretty viral too. That's crazy, dude. That makes me sweat. Now this is interesting. These are North Korean.
Миграция складов Wildberries.
North Korean warehouse workers being brought in to work at the wild berries that are which is like Russia's Amazon supply, to work at the wild berries that Ukraine has been targeting. Look, she's even got a North Korean t-shirt on.
Мигранты, да, братва? Да уже мы у них мигранты, что там?
So I don't know the real context behind this as to why they're bringing in North Koreans. Are Russians too scared to work at these warehouses now because they're getting targeted by the Ukrainians, or so they're bringing in probably much cheaper labor who don't really care about the situation of the bombing, or they don't even know about the wild berries getting hit. I don't know why they bring in North Koreans for this. This was cool. This is a Middle East drone drop. And I just wanted to show this because they're becoming more prominent on other battlefields. As we knew they would, drones. So the content, oh yeah, it says right here, drone strike on BLA T's. I don't know what that means. Targets during IED installation on the track. So these guys are planting a roadside bomb, and this drone's just hovering up above them, obviously high enough that they don't hear it, or they're so unused to or not used to drones that they just don't even care about the buzzing above them, but I doubt it. This thing has to be high enough up that they can't hear it, and it drops. It waits for these other two to get close. Perfect drop, really. Pretty crazy, but as we know, drones, man, drones are taking over. All right, we've got pretty cool clips of these guys This is called Predator Brigade, shooting down drones. It looks like he misses here, but you can tell it hits.
Мимо! Давай!
Есть, Саня, уходи! Подбил. Есть, не сдетонировал, он упал. Он горит.
Nailed it, dude.
Камера не працювала. Розібачили ждуна. Спочатку згорів, і щойно відбувся вибух.
You know, when things happen in slow progression, society becomes used to it, right? We saw drones in late 2022, early 2023 start dropping frag grenades. Now we're at the point where they're extremely effective. They've completely taken over the battlefield, and there are full-blown units that this is their job or part of their job. It's absurd thinking about this. It's like, I've said this so many times, but it's like Skynet. These guys are fighting robots in the sky. It's so crazy, man. I don't know. Is it just me that thinks this is insane? All right, this is our last one, guys. We'll wrap it up. Brand new 3rd Assault Brigade smashing a Russian mechanized assault. Let's go. And that assault was literally yesterday, or this was published or I think it was yesterday. So I would imagine this assault, especially looking at the foliage and stuff, this looks like it probably just happened. But gnarly, dude. I mean, another mechanized assault that has been stopped. But like we've talked so many times, if the Russians got 1, 2, 3 of these guys through and were able to disrupt the lines, get in, hunker down in a basement or something somewhere, they qualify that as an assault. You know what's interesting is here in even the small town that I'm in, they're still doing the Fedorov protests, trying to bring Fedorov, the defense minister who was recently ousted of his position in the Ukrainian government. People don't like that. He had large public approval, and they're still trying. This happened like 3 weeks ago now, and they're still trying to get him back into the office. These protests are big. The one in Kyiv yesterday was massive. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought about this video. Please drop me, or please like, share, subscribe, jump in the Discord if you're not, grab a t-shirt if you want one. I love you. See you in the next one.